Hi folks, Gareth here, and this is the Archos 55 Platinum, or Big 5, Little 5 Platinum. A new phone that I'm quite interested to look at because it has some decent specs here, and when I tell you the price you might be a little bit dumbfounded. Okay, so it's got H+ built into it. It's not a 4G phone. It's got IPS HD 5.5 inch display on it, a quad core CPU, a 13 megapixel rear camera and a 2 megapixel front facing camera, dual SIM, fusion storage, which means it takes the 8 gigabytes and fuses it together with whatever microSD card you happen to put in there and ramps it up to that as your total storage space. So it's like fusing them together. And on the back here we have more exact specs. We have Android 5.1 Lollipop, 3G built in, HSDPA 21 megabits per second and 5.7 megabits per second. Given the 4G speeds that we get around the UK, they're fine. It's got a 5.5 capacitive multi-touch screen, 1280 by 720 HD full black lamination, quad core for 1.2 gigahertz processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM. Oh, I thought it had 2 gigabytes of RAM. Right, okay, 1 gigabyte of RAM, 8 gigabytes of storage, 13 megapixel camera, 2 megapixel Wi-Fi, microSD card slot, Bluetooth, GPS, assisted GPS, and a stereo FM radio. Very disappointed by that. Okay, so I was going to say that this is looking like a pretty rocking little phone for £85, because it just seemed to have a decent collection of specs. One of them is a bit of a downfall, as I quite obviously was disappointed there. Now we'll look at the device in a second. What else is in the box? Okay, so in the box we have a big lump of plastic for you to stick over your screen. That's Perspex or something like that. It's a screen protector. Screen dust absorbing sticker. You use that to go back that over the screen before you attach that. Okay, that's a fair enough idea. And a little wipe plastic case for those to go into. Oh, we have a craggy phone cover here. Seen better days, but it's a phone cover in here. Archos' standard little Bible of stuff: warranty, legal, and safety notices. Quick start guide. Quite a read, but it's in various different languages. Always a nice addition. Ooh. Headphones. Just leave them in here, pretend I didn't see those. Micro USB and a plug, with the USB connector on the other side. Okie doke. That's it. There's just the bit at the bottom, the technical help numbers and things like that, which Archos are pretty good at adding to their devices. So let's have a look at this £85 phone. Okay, so that's a nice kind of blue sheen off it. It's actually a wee bit more purple than blue. I'm looking at it on the camera's screen here, and the colour representation on my camera isn't great, I would say. This does look kind of purpley, not as purple as that, but a darker purple. Hopefully it comes out in the video as that. And we have a camera up here, we have a light sensor, no flash. No, that is a flash. Okay, sorry. Yes, LED flash there. And the camera, Archos placed there. Speaker grill down here. Up the top we have 3.5mm headphone jack. Nothing else along there, just a tidy line. Well, obviously the back cover rips off. Here we have a volume rocker. Someone's throwing the cover back on in haste. And on the bottom we have the USB connector. That's a thumb grip there for you to rip off the back, and the power button on the side here. The front has an earpiece up here, which is quite difficult to see, and then there's a front-facing camera there. I'm guessing all the other sensors are built in. This is actually one of the first I've seen from Archos that doesn't. Oh no, it does have capacitive buttons, well, touchscreen buttons on the bottom, so they show up there as opposed to being on the screen. So I'm getting quite excited there that Archos had changed their minds. Ripping the back off, we find a battery. Oh, it's on. The battery is 2,400 milliamp hours. It's pretty good for the size of the device. And then we have dual SIM here. That's it, isn't it? It's just dual SIM. Or we can put in a MicroSD card. Don't we? Yeah. Okay, so turning on the device. Get a nice big buzz and Archos entertainment your way. It does snap on quite well, feels somewhat robust. Let's see how it looks if we put it in this little. Yeah. Needs to be straightened out or something. This. Oh God, it's horrible. It really is. It's I'll just take that off. It's not helping the phone at all. Okay, so the screen is nice, big, and bright. It's good looking. And we've got the two SIM options at the top there. Nothing over to the side. And we have the buttons at the bottom. We have menu, home, and back. The most important thing I think whenever you get 8GB phones is to see how much space is actually available in storage. There is 4.42GB available, so they're using up almost 4GB worth with the stuff that's already installed. And what is that stuff? There's crap. Okay, so we have Gameloft's 100% free games. Some game called Dragon Master or something, I don't care. Drive, email, files, FM radio app, Google, Jamango, which is music, it would appear. Tracks, album, and artists. Google Keep, another game. Maps, messaging, News Republic. Oh, it goes that way, right. Office Suite, Total Conquest. Now, if memory serves, Archos usually do ask you if you want to install those apps whenever you're booting up for the first time, but obviously this has already been set up by someone before me for a review, and that's probably taken up maybe a gig of storage that you might already have. So for a review I'm going to have to take everything off and do it from scratch and see if we actually have that amount from view. The camera, 13 megapixel. Let's get something fairly decent in. Oh, there's a Nexus. Let's take a few pictures of that, see how it does. Okay, and for video, hello, and this is a test of the video on the Archos 55 Platinum. Hello, and this is a test of the video on the Archos 55 Platinum. Okay, so it's not exactly low level light, but we'll throw that in for you to take a look at and see how it does. Other than that, there isn't too much else installed on the device. Okay, as soon as we hook it up to the Wi-Fi, we discover that there's a firmware update. Whilst I don't think this will further the evolution of Android, it is enough that I'm going to have to install it before I do any benchmarks on it to get a fair and accurate score of what you'll experience if you were to buy one of these tomorrow for £85. Say what you like about Archos, I think they've really upped their game over the last couple of years. Their devices are getting nicer and nicer while still maintaining that very cheap price point. Initially there's not really too much out of the box about this that I wouldn't imagine that HTC or possibly Samsung might possess at about double the price. Obviously it is lacking a wee bit of specs and things like that, and having 1 GB of RAM, there's a little microphone down there, 1 GB of RAM is almost a criminal offence. And I was quite excited about it whenever I thought it had 2 GB of RAM at £85. But things do seem to be somewhat fluid, and obviously they reckon that it can run some of these games. Total Conquest and Clash of the Clans are quite intensive. No, that's not Clash of the Clans, that's Dragon something. So it must have some gaming power to it to be able to run some of those games. So 1 gig must suffice. I mean, obviously you're not going to be using this for some high-end activities like you might use that for. You're not going to be doing video editing or anything on the go. But this looks like it's going to take forever. So we're going to end this here, and we'll come back to it in the review and see how it works. But other than that, it feels quite good in the hand. It's nicely weighted, and things do look to be quite snappy on it for a 1 gig device. Okay, so thanks for watching.